Today's episode of Northern Lights is presented by North Star Law Group, your trusted partner in Minnesota's burgeoning legal cannabis industry. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand, attorney Jen Riza and her team will help you understand the latest developments, scope out risks, and find a compliant path forward in this rapidly changing field. Visit northstarlaw.com and let North Star Law Group guide you through the legal landscape with confidence.
It was the last podcast I brought it.
The Super Booth?
It was Amarillo.
No.
Yeah, I was
I don't think we
talking
did
about
do
it
that.
on the pod, but I don't think that we got to the jar. I have a little bit of it left. What's interesting about that and this jar, which is not what it is,
Good old Laser Cat, though.
it's maybe the only hash that I've ever had that I think could rival what was originally in this jar. Put your nose to that.
All right, happily.
And this is the thing, dude, is people will talk so much shit about that
Wow.
consistency. That's Tally.
That has an incredible nose to
Wait
it.
till you hit that, dude. It should be able to hang with some of the best hash that you ever had. And Terps have off-gassed. I've had this definitely not ever fully wet,
Mhm.
but definitely wetter than this. Like, this is dried up a little bit. But people are so quick to talk shit about dried hash, where it's like, dude, I've had some killer, like that Amarillo, and maybe
For
it
sure.
was better at one point, but like,
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. Where, like, I think we've been trained so long
it's good.
because you, like, had to buy the stuff that looked just best on the market. And, like,
Mhm.
this is what quality looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you that, like, I've had stuff that I made at home that I was sort of disappointed when it came out more of that type of consistency. And I was like, where are this, like, juiciness that I want from it? Like that, the orange stuff that we dabbed last time.
Yours?
Yeah,
is
I
so
remember
fire.
making that. It came out and it never looked like that. It never, like,
Right.
it sort of went almost directly to, like, a chalky.
I just think that there's cuts and certain genetics that will do stuff like that. Chem
Mm-hmm.
seems to be wet,
Interesting. Yeah.
looser, and a little darker sometimes, which I'm okay with because at the end of the night, dude, it's a nice rip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've not been disappointed by it. It's been, I don't know. I remember when it first came out and then being, like, really bummed by it. But now it's like, man,
I'm
the
gonna
flavor
do
on this
all
is
day, and I'll bet you it's more stable in that state.
fair.
I don't doubt. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Dude, I'm down to smoke. You should be able to tell, like, that's the thing, is like, how do I tell what a good jar of rosin looks like if I just have a fucking jar of it? You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. People say, oh, a lighter color might be okay, cool, but I've had darker colored rosin that is delicious. And, a little bit wetter, but not too loose. But I've had it, maybe not super loose stuff that I've loved, but I've had, like we said, dry stuff that I love. And I think that really the only, like, fair variable to kind of judge by on a sliding scale might be nose, like we do with weed
Yeah.
these days, really. But dude, even some of that stuff that doesn't have a super strong nose to the jar will fucking hit you on the nail. No pun intended. All right, should we get started?
sure. Yeah, no.
No.
I totally think that, like, talking about hash is something that has long been sort of a, you got if you know kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it's not an intro point for any user. So I think
No.
talking about hash on the podcast is one of those things that for some might be new to them, or maybe they have
Are
in
we
their
recording
head.
or that we're recording?
Yeah, we are.
All right, what up, guys?
Yeah, howdy everyone. Yeah. But no, like, if we think about, like, old school hash, like going back to, like, the 70s, 80s, that's different than what people are
sure.
dabbing today. But there's a lot of similarities in sort of the why we're doing it. Maybe not the how we're doing it or what the end product looks like. But what is hash? Well, it's concentrated cannabis. I personally think the hash that we make today is more flavorful, more true to the actual product than, old school finger hash. But
They didn't have cold rooms.
yeah, they were beating plants over sheets of fabric.
You were talking about, right, exactly, and they've made like, the baskets. That you were talking
Yeah.
about, they were being baked by the sun. That's so cool. Right, dude, it is. I love flour. I would have made so much fun of myself 10 years ago for saying that. But dude, it is. I think of truth as a grower, dude. It's just a truer form of walking into my tent. This is what it smells like.
100%.
This is what it tastes like. All right.
And I'm all about cannabis products. It's cool to be able to buy, edibles, beverages, all of that. Definitely good stuff. But yeah, having the full spectrum of cannabis, from flower to concentrates to topicals to tinctures to whatever it is that you're looking for, it's a cool time to be in Minnesota.
For sure. I use 40% of the bullet points that you just listed, many that you can buy legally here, and I use them nightly, and they're as essential to my routine as smoke pools.
And you're talking about topicals, right? That's your big...
I'm a big topical guy. I like weed eye drops. No, dude, I just edibles, man. Edibles. Probably, halfway through my career as a stoner, that just, not even for health reasons. There's so many reasons, but the high itself was more sustainable at a certain point. At night. I'm not trying to
No, for sure, but
all the time, but.
finding ways to use cannabis in your life that...
Hey, no judgment. If you're eating edibles in the morning and you're getting your work done, dude, more power to you.
Gustine coffee, drinking one of those in the
shout
morning.
out Gus. What's up, man?
Yeah.
We talked this week. What's up, Gus?
Yeah, I think cannabis can be used day round.
But for sure. This is a little more, manageable for me and my work. Anyways,
I'm gonna awkwardly grab a water here.
nice.
We're gonna cut this whole thing out, but someone commented on the podcast like a couple of months back, that guy needs to drink more water. It sounds like ASMR, and I was just like, oh no. All
That's
right.
not a nice thing to say. You know what though? Feedback's feedback,
Absolutely
man.
no, and that's we left it up because it's a good reminder to make
Funny.
sure we're doing good editing. And all
Yeah,
that
hey,
stuff.
we appreciate your feedback. Just please be kind. My feelings.
Yeah, it wasn't
very
nice that you called me a
fragile.
jerk afterwards. You didn't have to say that. Just say.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, Sam, it's good to have you back.
Dude, thank you. The first time that I was here was a blast. Jan and Steve, our such homies, was so much fun, and I was really pumped to get back. Dude, you're gonna be. This is so bad. I saw it like pop up as like a calendar invite yesterday,
sure.
and I was like, "Oh, Steve, that's so tight. Thanks for inviting me to this." And he was like, "Dude, yeah, that was on your calendar over a month ago." Been a busy month.
No, I dig it, man. No, I'm so happy to have you back. And yeah, that 420 special was so fun to
It was
do.
super fun.
Talking about various strain names or business ideas or just all the random shit. We read a play, like
Yeah, you
going
set that
back
up
and
really
watching it
nicely,
later
man.
was...
Thank you. You
Kind of
put
fun.
a lot of work into this. So to the people out there listening, man, thank you, Tanner.
Oh.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks to everyone who listens and makes this possible. We love being able to come out and just jam about cannabis. So excited to be here.
Yeah, you invite me and you're like, oh, this kid could talk for 14 days straight about this, and it wouldn't be organized, and it would be like, what of that can we use? But I could do it.
We find that that's often the best content. We, back when we first started, this is a little behind the scenes, but when we first started this podcast, now actually almost a year ago, this will be coming out just about a year from our first
Man.
episode.
Mazel.
Thank you. But we used to cut out all the extra chatter because we were like, people are just listening for the news. And we had like our 45-minute long episode of just straight talking about the news. And then we like started just sort of chattering and people started commenting like, oh yeah, I like that part. And we were getting more feedback ultimately from us just sort of, shooting the shit than more about the news. But what's cool is we're able to talk about so much from dabs to, the state of the industry to whatever in between, and have people on like yourself and like many others that are really making this industry possible. So it's good good content, as the kids say.
Dude, as our resident weed smokers are looking for knowledge, they're also looking for human connection, man, and they're human beings themselves. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, we'll at some point during this episode we'll pass the Puffco and we'll honorably pass it to the camera. So then
Tight.
when you're
Okay.
the viewer at home, that's when you can take your hit. But also you can just do it now too. That's allowed.
The whole time,
Yeah.
all the time, every time.
Every time. Yeah, so Sam, happy to have you here. We got a bunch of news that we're talking about today. A little bit later in the episode, we got Jordan Fallis from Native Care, who's going to be coming on and talking a little bit about what brought him to the Red Lake Nation and what they're doing
Sweet.
up at Native Care. It's a cool one. Then a little bit later, we're previewing a class. We actually taught this class back in January. The class recording is now available. So if you missed the class, no worries. You can go check that out. But we're going to be putting like the first 10 minutes of it in just because it's Stefan, it's Kat, Lagi Blum coming out, talking about a little bit about their background. And I think it's such a great story. We haven't had it on the podcast yet, so we're going to feature that today as well.
Awesome.
But let's get to today's news because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First up, some pretty big news. We've got some expungements actually rolling out here in Minnesota.
Yeah, some expungements for misdemeanors, petty misdemeanors. it
Yeah,
looks like.
unfortunately, it's just some minor cannabis crimes. So this is like people that had possession crimes, and that was sort of it. We've not seen the sale crimes roll out in that automatic expungement. We are going to see that through that expungement board a little bit later, but as of right now, it's just, as you said, sort of those more minor cannabis crimes. And man, just about 58,000. That's a decent number of records that are now going
Yeah.
to be wiped clean.
Yeah, cool. What does that do for somebody with the petty misdemeanor? Say I got picked up and ticketed downtown with an eighth on me in 2013. What does that do for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Like-
maybe you're applying for a job and it could like come up on a background check if you have an employer that's particularly concerned about that.
Yeah.
Could be a barrier. Maybe if you're
Little
applying
bit.
for a housing, but no, I agree with you that like
For a lot of people, don't you think that it's kind of like sorry that we were wrong about that, and for most people it doesn't really affect them. And for me, if I was apologized to the state who took even if it was like $260 from me, this didn't happen. The only time I personally was impacted by prohibition, which is the dumbest thing to say, dude. I've been impacted by prohibition. Everybody's been impacted by the prohibition of this
yeah.
plant. But I've been in some situations, and so this was the most minor thing when we were on our way to a Fish concert in 2010.
okay, for sure.
And got pulled over at Osseo, Wisconsin. So nothing in Minnesota, so I don't qualify for this, or this doesn't affect me, but I'm just thinking about the people that it does affect. Like, if I did have a ticket like the one that I just hypothetically
For sure, yeah.
mentioned, I feel like I'd be kind of pissed off, dude. I'd be like, thanks for getting it wrong. Where's my 260? Where's my job offer from 2020 that I didn't get? You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
Sorry. I'm kind of like, dude.
Oh yeah, no, this is very much like that lowest threshold of what we possibly could see happen out of here of like, all right, the people that had minor tickets have been forgiven.
It's almost just like,
That's
don't do it, dude. It's almost just like, don't do it in the first place. Like do something when you're ready to do something meaningful and impactful. And to your point, if this does allow one of the 57,000 people to get a job, then it was the right thing to do, and they did it at the right time. They, way too late, if anything,
For
right?
sure.
Obviously, but right, if it positively impacts one of these people's abilities to get a job, then it was a good thing that they did. Cool.
But no, I agree with you that like I'm sure the tens of thousands of people that are sitting with other cannabis related crimes are sort of thinking like, all right, well, you're making a lot of effort towards opening up shops. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show. Where is sort of the effort that you're putting into clearing my record? Yeah, I sold cannabis, and people will be legally selling cannabis perhaps in a building like this very soon. But, you know, where's that forgiveness?
Building like this, dog, drive 4 hours, drive 7 hours. It's not that far away. And unfortunately, what I would assume is that a lot of these 57,000 people don't look exactly like me and you, Tanner.
Totally fair.
I would assume, and that's, and for that, a good thing. For those 57,000 people, if you know a majority of them, as we know, statistically, very well could be minorities or people of color, or
absolutely, yeah.
You know, then obviously a very good thing, but. You know, 4 to 7 hours away, there are dudes that look very much like us. And 45 minutes away, and also 4 to 7 hours away in those very same places, people are sitting jail still for selling much less weed.
100%.
Than those guys that are legally doing it outside of those jail cell walls. And so until that changes, I'm not super impressed.
Yeah, no, I think that's super fair. And I think it's super fair to say, what about the Minnesotans that have criminal convictions, you know, in other jurisdictions? That's like, all right, great, my Minnesota one is expunged. But sort of like you were saying, you know, I think it's going to take a while for our friends over in Wisconsin to really catch up.
Now, though, dude, is my project this week, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
Last week or the week before, dude, I have to now try and contact the people of Osseo, Wisconsin, and the police department of Trempealeau County or whatever to try and find this record so that maybe I could qualify as a social equity applicant.
Absolutely.
Somebody who has been negatively impacted. And I will say that was, that's a funny story. That's how negatively that impacted me at the time. I've been in situations that were not as pleasant as that. And so I feel because of that, you know, right, I should be at least allowed a seat at the table alongside the other people who didn't have to risk things like that, and people who came in with capital to just make money off of what we've been doing for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know, man, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
No, you're all good. No, you were talking about like having to follow up in Wisconsin and like having to go and like track down this one citation.
Okay,
and,
all right. That was just a whole spiel trying to justify me as you know what, dude? If you're out there and feel like I don't look like a social equity applicant, put it in the comments. like I'm open to that feedback, and I get it. There are definitely people who have been more severely impacted than me, for sure, and a lot of those people wear that target visually as their skin color or as the way that they might look ethnically like a minority. You know what I mean? I absolutely understand the impact of that, and like I was saying earlier, statistics show, you know. So, you know, all that being said, it is funny now that I have to go back to Trempealeau County and try and be like, hey, could I get that evidence so that I can benefit from the fact that I was pulled over and arrested for... dude, it's wild.
On the way to a Fish concert.
On the way to a Fish concert in 2010.
So I gotta ask, and this is probably not the main point, but did you make the show?
Dude, so it was Deer Creek, Noblesville, Indiana.
For sure.
Which is 10, 12 hours away, maybe.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got set out to try and, you know, camp that night before the show, sleep, and then get back up for the show. And it was like 100 degrees out, and we pulled up like 2 hours before the show. I remember something like that. And we were just... like didn't sleep the whole night.
For sure.
I had like 4 nights of Fish ahead of us. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna go back to that social equity thing. I shouldn't qualify for that. That should not. If that is on paper the best I got, dude, yeah, you give these licenses to someone else all day. But I will say, you give me a license, I'll bring you chronic weed. I promise.
Well, and so I think that's like what so we've debated this a lot on the show over the past couple of weeks, and the legislature has debated it a lot as well. It's like, who qualifies as social equity applicant? You know, we had a discussion on the show.
This was nowhere on your outline, but this is exactly what I wanted to talk
No,
about.
well, and I think it's such a prudent conversation because, you know, there was a discussion last week about like, should all women qualify as a social equity applicant, because
it's a
we wanna,
great
like,
question.
promote women-owned businesses.
I think that is a great question.
The
And hell yeah, I want to promote women-owned businesses in cannabis, and I will do that every chance I get. Shout out to all my ladies for making dope products and running dope shops.
Absolutely. And as we talked about how like that's something that we all agreed that we wanted to support, but in a bill that doesn't allow BIPOC individuals to qualify because they've been disproportionately impacted. You know, if you are black, you don't qualify, even though black Minnesotans have been more
Absolutely.
impacted by prohibition than like a white woman has.
Right.
But I think what social equity has shown us is that a lot of people were harmed in a lot of ways, even some ways that aren't tangibly tied to a court record.
For sure, dude.
So I think I hear what you're saying.
There might be police records that exist, but that police record might not. It's not going to tell you what happened.
100%. Marcus has a I almost said a great story. It's not a great story. Marcus has a story about being down south, getting pulled out of his car, being searched, and like that doesn't qualify him as a social equity applicant.
No, dude.
But someone
Think
who
about that though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro. I don't need to seek like professional therapy
100%.
for running up to a Fish concert an hour or two before the show without sleep the night before.
Totally.
No, getting pulled out of a car by an authoritative figure and being completely powerless and helpless.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. He doesn't have a police report that says that happened.
100%. So I think what we're seeing is that like social equity is an idea that maybe can't be tangibly tied to like this statute. Like, yes, we're gonna have that from like a licensure perspective, but I think there's gonna be a lot of people that maybe think, yeah, prohibition impacted someone else more than me, so they should be ahead of line than me. But I think what we're seeing is that the pie of this is so big. If you were harmed by prohibition, I think there should be that on-ramp, whether you're someone who was incarcerated, whether you're someone who had a family member incarcerated, whether you received a citation or a ticket or had to go to jail or whatever. If the state harmed you because you were a cannabis consumer or distributor, you should be part of this industry. And I think we have to stop adding qualifiers of like, because I agree with you, there are probably people that were harmed more than you by prohibition, but I mean, are we going to make everyone get in line and say like, all right, these 6 people are the most impacted, so you can run a business? I think we just got to say the war was wrong. How can we make at least it a little bit right? And I think it's by taking people, yes, like you, and giving you that on-ramp to the industry.
Yeah, but dude, I don't know if I can say this on this podcast. I might fuck it up.
No.
You might not want to give me a license because while I've fought like this, I've never ran a distribution company before. That's, ran taxes and employed employees, and so I do need help, dude, and I do need I need support and training myself. If the state wants people like me to be able to sustainably carry forward a socially equitable license.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a mouthful, dude.
But I think you are one of so many people that's in that position of, you've got that passion, you've got this vision, but, yeah, it's okay that you haven't filed taxes on behalf of employees before because that's sort of our whole industry. Like, we are going to, I've used this analogy not on the podcast, and I don't mean it not I mean it with so much love, but I think a lot of people learned that running a cannabis business is just showing up and doing it day after day after day. And it's not about, I've got the best knowledge or experience or background or whatever be it. It's just that I'm willing to say, this is something that I want to do, and you should give me a license to do it.
I'm definitely not going to name names here, but my shop owners know who they are when I walk in, and they're like, yeah, dude, QuickBooks is annoying me today or this thing that I am, and I'm like, dude, I didn't ever log into QuickBooks 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And that is very validating and maybe a little, anxiety relieving.
Nobody told me that when we started this project like 4 years ago, that we'd be spending so much time trying to figure out a credit card processor.
Oh my God.
So like,
dude,
I think.
God. Hey, okay, can I say this on the podcast?
I don't even know what it is.
Swear,
Yes.
fuck you, dude. You suck.
With everything that's happened in our industry over the past couple of weeks and months and
God.
people that I've spoken to, yeah, you can say that. That's
Thank you.
that's an insane one.
All right.
Well,
right. Just give me my money, dude.
yes. Hey, hopefully scheduling, helps that. Whatever.
They pay me before they listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's. We'll just hold this specific clip off until.
Tight. Yeah. No, we're dropping it on them.
Yeah. Well, we do have a little bit more news to talk about,
Tight.
but first we're going to take a short break, and we're going to do another dab, and then we're going to talk through some other news.
Oh, jeez.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, so Minnesota Weed Party isn't major.
Oh yeah, all right, so we got to do a whole and we're back kind of thing.
Okay.
But then we'll jump right into that.
Okay, you want to do the and we're
Sure.
back? Or do you want me to do the and we're back? Because if I was going to do the and we're back, I'd be like, and we're back.
Hey, we're back. Sweet. Yeah, we're going to use that one. No, I love it. Yeah, so you were just talking about the next thing that we're going to be talking about here. We've got some news, and we've talked about this a little bit on the show. The Legal Marijuana Now Party, a party with a long history here in Minnesota, was argued by the DFL to not be a full major party in Minnesota.
Thank you, DFL.
Yeah, it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has now officially ruled, no, you are not a major party here in Minnesota. We have two major parties. It's a
Thank you, Supreme
DFL,
Court.
it's a GOP, and that's just sort of, it is what it is.
Not a huge fan of the bipartisan system that we've set up here in the United States necessarily. Definitely not stoked about the near future here. But the Legal Marijuana Party now was dumb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's,
Shout out to anybody who put genuine work into that for
100%.
the cause of
And,
fighting prohibition.
like, credit where credit is due, it had its role at a time when
Okay.
neither party was saying, yeah, we support legalization.
Mm-hmm.
But as clearly seen, there is a party that supports legalization, and
I
it's the
saw
DFL.
that.
Yeah,
I saw when they all voted to pass
Exactly.
these laws.
Yeah, so I think, at this point, do we need another party that says legal marijuana now on the ballot when, I don't know, it's not, we don't have shops open yet, but we do
Okay.
sort of have legal
Here's
marijuana
why
now.
it's dumb. Can I just say,
Please.
there are 8,000 things that need to change in society before, and dude, I'm gonna get some flack for this, I think, before weed needs to be legalized.
Okay.
I do. You know what I mean? I think kids need to be fed. I think that women's reproductive rights are incredibly
Oh, yeah.
important. Weed is, for most people, not life and death, but some of those other things for a lot of people are.
totally.
And so there are, maybe not 8,000, but a couple things that are more important than legalizing weed. And these are all things that each, GOP, DFL have particular stances on. So why just say, hey, you know what, the really the most important thing is, and that's why I thought that it was silly.
Yeah, it is tough, saying we got to be single issue voters when, as you said, there's a lot going on right now. And I understand, maybe feeling dejected from politics and saying like my vote doesn't matter. I can use this as like a protest vote, but I think we're at a point now where like,
Sure.
what are you protesting?
Okay, now is for sure silly. But here's the thing, dude. It's, I think, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, maybe easy to be a single issue voter. It's easier for dudes that look like us.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
For dudes that look like us, we're like, you know what's bugging me today, dude? Weed's not legal. And, you know, for maybe dudes that look like Marcus, they're like, you know what's bugging me today is I got ripped out of my fucking car by a cop.
100%.
For nothing. And so that's why me and you can be like on our couch smoking our joint, like looking out through our shades, being like, I'm going to vote with all of my voice for legalizing weed. And that's so privileged, dude. And
Yeah, man.
I think it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, now for sure they got really nothing to do.
No.
Was it not just a shelf?
Yeah, so that's what I've really struggled with is, you know, if we go back in like the history, I love looking at the history of these parties. Going back in time, there perhaps was a time period when Legal Marijuana Now Party was a break off of the grassroots party, when maybe they were doing some stuff that they shouldn't have been focusing on at the time.
Whatever.
Do you support legalizing pedophilia? You know, maybe the grassroots party did at one point.
Jesus
Moving
Christ.
past that, what we're talking about right here is that
my
Legal
God.
Marijuana Now is supposed to be the statement of we want legal cannabis now. And what we're really seeing is that like now as a party, it's being used as a tool to actually harm the party that supports legalization, the DFL.
For sure. It had to have been funded in part in the past by people whose sole reason for funding it was detracting from the cause of the DFL.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't prove that, but I bet somebody
Detracting
can.
from the cause of legalization.
I'll bet somebody can, because that's how politics work.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
100%, man. No, so I agree with you. I think we're happy to see that this has now moved in that direction. We got to say this, especially so we can avoid libel, is the party is appealing this. So they're going to be appealing this to the U.S. Supreme Court. They said they hope that the Supreme Court finds that Minnesota DFL written election law to be unconstitutional. I think, you know, we probably won't be seeing that anytime soon. But
Yeah, sound like-
regardless, on our ballot this fall, we likely won't be seeing a ton of Legal Marijuana Now candidates unless they go through the entire petition process, which at this point, good luck.
Everybody on Instagram wants to talk trash about WOW's. The legal marijuana party now still could not get Scott Jensen elected. Sorry.
There we go. All right, well, let's talk about another story. So we like to bring up municipalities, counties, all the local jurisdictions that try to put cannabis policies in place, especially in this time before legalization has really rolled out. Moratoriums are the biggest tool that cities have used to try to prevent cannabis from coming into their city before they can figure out the proper policies or whatever it is that they're looking for. The next one that we're going to be talking about, Albert Lee voted on a week ago from when you're listening to this podcast to stop issuing licenses to any businesses that sell cannabis, liquor, tobacco, or, this is a good one, any sexually oriented materials for up to 6 months while they study how to properly zone this.
Who would have thunk? Like, oh, dude, yeah, no, Albert Lee isn't super down for weed. Like, surprise, surprise, dude. Have you heard of outside of the 694, 494 loop? Like,
Yeah.
dude, there's gonna be places like this, and there's gonna be battles that are gonna be fought, and we knew this, and this is super privileged too. Shout out to all my Minnesotans, you know what I mean? Skol Vikes. Go Wolves. They're just gonna have to come to the city. And here's the thing too, is I do think that oh God, sometimes I just gotta think, how long do I want to make this story? All right, for instance, I was in Palm Springs, and I just wasn't happy with the selection of most of the dispensaries out there. There's gonna be pockets of any legal place where the commerce just isn't popping as much as it is
Oh,
in
yeah.
other places that you could go that might not be super far away. So consumers will vote with their dollar and their vehicle and jump in and drive to, you know, a spot an hour away or hour and a half away.
For sure.
We have tons of people still going up to Michigan right now. It's 4 hours, man.
They're doing a music festival in like a week right in Ironwood that all the dispensaries
God.
are hosting to try to get people to come to
so
town.
smart. Well, that's the thing is
I
I
might
was
go.
up
It
there,
doesn't sound
dude. I
terrible.
was up there and there was nothing. This was pre-COVID probably.
Okay, for sure.
And I was like, dude, why is stuff not popping up here? And I think it probably has changed.
It's
since
starting now. Yeah, I've heard if you go to one of those dispensaries, it's about an hour wait if you haven't
Oh
done a
my
pre-order. Which you know, it's a lot of
You know what,
Wisconsin
dude?
and
Right.
Minnesota.
And that's why they got to get
growing
this
cannabis.
figured out exactly. There's a ton of our hard-working tax dollars being spent out of state.
Oh yeah,
Which,
so
dude,
many.
which, you know what, dude? Michigan grows good pot. And if you're going to grow good pot, take my tax dollars.
Yeah, fair. Well, and we've both been in Colorado before enjoying their market. I imagine. Have you?
Definitely spent
yeah,
dollars
yeah.
in Colorado. I just said I was spending them in Palm Springs.
Okay, for sure.
I wasn't even stoked about it. I'd rather have spent that here with terps that I'm familiar with or shops that
For
I'm
sure.
familiar with that have good terps.
Well, the reason that I mentioned Colorado is because what we saw in Colorado is cities outright banning cannabis, saying we don't want any cannabis businesses here.
But I don't think that's illegal.
So it is in Colorado.
It's in Colorado, but
Yeah.
with our bill,
We can't have that here. So what we're seeing is cities doing essentially like the equivalent allowed under our bill, which is coming up with these regulations. So
Right.
they wouldn't allow cannabis within 1,000 feet of a school, 500 feet of a daycare, residential treatment facilities, or, quote, attractions within a public park that is regularly used by minors, including playgrounds or athletic fields. So if there's a playground, 500 feet away from you, can't have a dispensary there.
500 feet, what does that look like? A football field and a half, right? My math is
No, you're good. So a football field, because I'm not a football person, so that's 100 yards.
100 yards, so 500
yard
feet.
is
Right,
3
it's
feet,
about
yeah.
right. It's about football field and a half, slightly over that.
Yeah.
That makes sense for schools. I'm just trying to think, like, sometimes, like you said, people are going to moratorium the shit out of this. Oh, it's going to be 10,000 feet. And it's ridiculous guidelines that aren't possible to meet because there's 3 schools within 3 miles.
Totally.
And that's how big the town is. 500 feet makes sense for me from schools or daycares. It's like, what's the point in can you not have liquor stores by daycares?
So under this rule, they're putting these new provisions that would prevent liquor stores and tobacco businesses to be included in those cannabis provisions.
It said airports, I think I heard you say.
Well, so that's the one that really, part of the reason that we're mentioning this, talking about
These are
moratoriums
just
is important.
anywhere kids might go. But kids are going to go anywhere.
Well, so those restrictions that we were talking about earlier are on sexually oriented businesses. So businesses that engage in
I
selling
just think
sexual
it's
materials.
fantasy gifts, right? It's those places that you see when
Almost
you're
certainly.
driving to fish concerts.
Yeah. Oh, so many of them along the Wisconsin highway.
Exactly,
It's-
dude. That's what I'm saying. I think it's like fantasy gifts, something like that.
So those won't be within 1,000 feet of a school or 500 feet of residential areas, parks, recreational areas, public
Shout out
theaters.
fantasy gifts.
Yeah, shopping centers, airports. You're going to be shocked by our new sponsor. No. And then they also won't allow any of those sexually oriented businesses near interstate highways. So at least cannabis isn't under those strict provisions. But man, Albert Lee, you're not going to be that fun of a city
Are
anymore.
you surprised?
No.
Anymore?
No.
What do you mean? They were what were they? What was you were like going down for their Hy-Vee? Or
Yeah, we used
something?
to for their Hy-Vee.
What?
I actually, this is terrible.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about Albert.
I can't say that I've ever been to Albert Lee before.
This is, bro. My privilege is you. You just need to cut this whole episode. I've just supercharged an Albert.
Chop
Lee.
it.
Chop it.
Cut it.
I've
No.
supercharged
But I agree with you that I think we're gonna see the towns that no one's surprised, prohibiting cannabis, and then we're gonna see towns like Minneapolis, where we're probably gonna see a decent number of cannabis businesses, and I'm
Yeah.
excited for the future of what this looks like here in our state.
I think it'll be proportionate. God, am I struggling with the English language on this podcast to the amount of people that want to open shops in that area. I think that the amount of, business owners might kind of mirror what it is that areas want to do, because a lot of times business owners have stuff to say in their local,
For sure.
like constituencies, and I'm not sure that it will mirror what consumers want, or the number of consumers that are looking for these goods in a certain area. And so that's why I think you'll see people driving, but it might more so mirror the business owners. I have no idea. I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I just want us to figure out what shop has the best concentrates, and then we'll just go there.
Me and you can hang out there. Yeah. Bro, I don't doubt this one's going to have some fire. I mean, that's what I didn't get that far in the conversation with Kale earlier, but where I was going with that is that this shop, as much as whatever only weed people want to talk trash about people who do alcohol business stuff, alongside weed business stuff, like this shop is clearly set up by people who want to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want to do this.
Yeah, shout out to the Dabbler Depot. I mean, we get to look out at their whole seed and sesh
so
setup,
sick.
and there's bags of soil, there's AC Infinity equipment, you can go buy edible products and beverages and all the likes, and it's a cool place.
Yeah, they did a good job. Off Payne, which is a street that you might drive down and not think a ton of, but if you've spent really any time here, you know that it's just dripping with culture and energy. Honestly, cool stuff happens on the street.
I gotta say, I've spent more time on this street since they've moved in here than I have ever before. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet neighborhood.
I get my hair cut right down the street, Portland Starboard. Shout out Jagger. If you need to get chopped up, go see him.
Bingo.
I don't think that I've said the name of any of my manufacturers or retailers, but I have of the kid that cut my hair. So
I dig that. Well, so we'll get to that a little bit later. We're gonna do a short product sampling. We're gonna go to the Dabbler Depot shelf. Well, maybe we'll pick some out and see what ones we wanna try out.
Yeah.
But we got one more piece of news that I do unfortunately have to throw in here. No, actually, I think that this is sort of cool
we
news.
have breaking news.
Sort of. So I spent the day waiting for the conference committee report to be posted. So we're recording this on Friday. The last conference committee hearing was just the other day, and you can use the URL of the website to type in what bill you want, and it tells you conference committee report not yet available. And then probably around 12:30, I reloaded the page, and all of a sudden there's a document that popped up. And so I'm just going to be talking through some fun things from the conference committee report that are now.
You do?
So these Post-it notes are ramen noodle Post-it notes. Shout out to my coworker AJ who gave me some Post-it notes. So I went through, highlighted some of my favorite parts of the bill. I did read all 100.
That's all we're going to say about the ramen noodle Post-it notes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I went through, highlighted, and read all 187 pages. You can see this was posted 12:19 p.m. today, so they were not lying about this. I'm just going to go through and tell you about some of the final decisions that were made. So we're just going to sort of power through these and talk about them.
Some of these are going to be news to me, dude. And some of these...
Yeah. Well, so a big one that we've talked about a little bit on the past, but on-tap beverages, cannabis beverages, now going to be allowed. So other than products that are consumed as beverages, they have to be in their packaging. But otherwise, if you go to a bar, they can have a keg of cannabis products as long as they're making sure that the serving size is consistent for people. On-tap beverages coming up soon in Minnesota.
That is news to me. That is sick.
Yeah. I'm super... Because if you go to
That is insane.
Yeah. So Minneapolis Cider Co., you can go there today.
Tell me what happens.
Yeah.
That
they don't have that. No.
What? Has that happened in another state?
Not that I know of. I believe we're going to be one of the first states to have on-tap cannabis beverages allowed in
sick.
bars.
Bro, I
wherever.
just think about that for a second and kind of what that says almost entirely about the destigmatization and how far it's gone.
Oh, yeah. And to think that we had edibles, quote unquote, legalized in 2022.
I want to be the first keg stand. You think anybody's done it?
Not yet, but coming up here soon. Coming to you. Yeah, we'll make that happen. I don't know if it's compliant, but we'll make it happen.
Oh, bro.
Some other stuff. Qualifying medical conditions has now been expanded to any condition that your doctor approves. So they've got this long list of conditions.
Way.
Yeah, but if you go to your doctor, you're saying I'm having X, Y, and Z. Your doctor feels cannabis could help. You could be a med patient, or anyone could be a med patient.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to my little sister. Shout out Soph. We'll get to our manufacturers.
Yeah.
Brought to you in part by Soph. And I was just like, dude, I don't know if that thing that you asked me about would qualify right now.
And now it's not a question of with the state does it qualify, but it's just with your doctor. Yeah.
Sick. And
So-
shout out to my doctor, dude. She's so sick.
Coming up to a conversation near you. Another big one, they got rid of a lot of the medical cannabis licenses. So now we're not going to see like a medical cannabis store.
Yeah.
We're going to see a store that sells cannabis and they also have medical cannabis products.
And we see that mirrored elsewhere. In
For
other
sure.
states.
Yeah, other states. What is neat about ours is if you go to a place like Michigan, some of their dispensaries still are med only, and you have to be a med patient to go here. Here in Minnesota, we're not going to have a single med only shop.
Which
It's
is
gonna
gonna
have-
save people mileage and gas.
So much. And at the end of the day, cannabis is cannabis. So I'm excited to see expanded sales allowed
so it's
under
funny
that.
that some just costs a little less and you can get maybe a little bit more of
Oh,
it.
yeah. On the hemp-derived side, we've had caps that would like potentially go into place around what cannabinoids would be allowed. It's been expanded to 25 milligrams of CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, and 5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC per serving.
The
So-
fact that this is expanded, dude, like that it's silly that it's 25, but
Mm-hmm.
this was so necessary. I think Mini Grown had to do some
For
crazy
sure.
stuff with their hibernate formula.
Yeah, people love
Mini
them.
Grown's
Had
not
to
even
drop
one of
them
my
down.
manufacturers. But shout out Mini
Shout out Mini Grown.
Oh my God.
Zach Rohr. Shout out Mini Grown. No, but yeah, so they had hibernate gummies. They used to have CBN in them, and then they had to drop it down to 0.5 milligrams of CBN because we
No,
thought
it's
that
a
would be the
great
new cap.
product, dude.
Now we could see the 1.0 recipe potentially come back.
Perfect.
Moving right along, we now have total THC directly written into the bill. We have rules around what is total THC. So this like THCA flower that's legally allowed. It's now very clearly defined. No, it's this is the conversion.
I hear Wisconsin's going crazy, dude. I hear Wisconsin. Like, that's the thing is, please cut this because I don't want any of
Cut,
my
cut, cut.
consumers to know that they can drive 45 minutes west and get higher doses. And, bro, people are selling THCA flower, I think, out there.
Oh, dude, I hate to blow your mind. In
Right?
straight up selling THCA concentrates.
Yeah.
and,
Oh,
like,
no, somebody did say they were doing concentrates the other day, which think about, dude, if I was in college, living in Dinkytown, and I could walk into buy hash.
it would. Oh yeah, man. I spent a lot of time in that shop in college. I lived at
It's
17th.
a good
and-
thing that was not happening when I was in college.
Oh yeah.
That is the one place that they need to keep this 500 feet away from. you
Yeah,
know?
fair. It's from college campuses.
Bro, like,
Yeah.
what are they doing with these daycares? Like my 2.5-year-old, she will like occasionally like see a jar of hash sitting there, and she'll know like it's not for her.
She's
it's
gonna
bad.
pick the lock of the daycare.
But
She's
bro,
gonna crawl down the street.
She doesn't
500
want
feet.
anything to do with it anyway. She like bring it to me and like, dude, you left this out, dingus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she doesn't want anything to do with it anyways.
For sure.
You know, when you explain to him what it is and like, bro, you're not gonna be into it. It's not for kids. Like it's gonna make you like sleepy and want to go to sleep. That's the last thing she wants to do right now. Dude.
Oh yeah.
Well, you cannot have this at camp.
This is
college
nap time stuff.
campuses.
Yeah, fair.
No, dude, 500 feet away from Hideaway in Dinkytown.
I think that's a good measure. Well, so we talked about the CBN, CBD, all that stuff. Previously, it had to require like a law change for them to come in and say, all right, this is allowed in this case. Now the office is just allowed to do it. So if we want to go to them and say, hey, CB whatever down the future, we want that passed, it's the office that can do it. It's not just, the legislature.
Which that has to be how it is because the minor cannabinoid laws don't make sense. Your old buddy Steve eats crazy amounts of minors sometimes. and he can explain to you why that is. He's explained to me why it is.
Oh yeah, we've talked about CBG. So like I'm here for it. I love it.
My boy's in like the hundreds or thousands or something like that. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Oh yeah. We talked on the last podcast about potential caps on licenses. We saw some potential licenses put in here. So for social equity applicants, we're going to see 25 cultivators, 12 manufacturers, 75 retailers, 50 meso businesses. Those same numbers are then mirrored for adult use, non-social equity applicants. And what's nice is they directly wrote in that if by 2026 we feel those numbers need to be higher, they don't have to change the law. The office can just do it in themselves.
Yeah.
So this is really just a roadmap for, you know, what the next couple of years are going to look like for cannabis. Setting it up perhaps to help some businesses succeed. I've talked in the podcast before. I don't like the limited license model. But I understand that we need to be setting people up to succeed.
What states are examples of states that don't do limited license?
Oklahoma is a good example.
Okay.
So basically, if you want to open a business there, you pay the fee and then you can open your business.
What about Michigan?
So Michigan does have some caps.
There's other places where I hear they're kind of just handing them out. People just aren't renewing them in a lot of places, I think. Which is kind of scary.
Good old licensure, right? Gotta love that it's coming to our industry. Another thing that we talked a little bit about city governments earlier, a nice provision that was added in. So if you own a municipal store, we had thought that we might see some like rural counties open a municipal store, sell like 5 products, and say we're the only shop that can be in town because we can cap it at 1 per 1,200 people, 12,000 people. What they wrote in here is that municipal store, that doesn't count towards the cap. You got to at least allow one other business not owned by the city.
Doing this has brought to my attention that liquor stores in some cities are entirely owned
by the city, and it's the only liquor store allowed in town because I don't know why.
How is that legal?
I learned that in St. Paul, they cap how close liquor stores can be to each other. So if you have a liquor store, you don't have to worry about another one opening within X number of miles of you. And that's just the law. And if someone wants to come and open a liquor store, they have to like look for parts of the city that they don't already exist. Otherwise, like, fuck you, that turf is already owned by someone else, which is insane that's how we... I agree with you. I didn't know about these laws before cannabis.
Right. If I was driving my car and I was listening to NPR and they said, oh, and by the way, the state just voted to make it so that the government is the only people that can sell weed, I'd drive off a bridge.
100%. And we see that in parts of Canada.
What? Like, oh, I'd be so frustrated by that.
So that's why we're happy to see this. We're also happy to see that the office may actually refuse to issue a license to a city if they believe that it will harm the main mission, which is laid out in subdivision 1, which is we want to issue the number of licenses to provide a sufficient supply while also having a competitive market.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So if a city is looking like they're going to come in and try to shake that up, the office can say, hey, man, not here.
They had a year to iron this stuff out. And it seems like they got some of it ironed out. How do you feel about it?
I think it's a bit cleaner. I think there's a lot of room for growth, but I'm really excited by some of the provisions. Actually, so some of the next one that I'm going to talk about, I'm
you
most
feel like
stoked
it's a
about.
good direction.
I do, yeah. I think, we had a good bill that passed last year, but we all knew that was just sort of step 1. We still had to really figure out how this was going to work. I think the office is moving in the right direction, so I'm happy with it. Awesome. So we had talked on the last episode about should women qualify as social equity applicants. We actually mentioned it a little bit earlier in the show. The committee looked at it and they determined ultimately, no, that's not one of the provisions that they want to allow in.
That doesn't mean that women can't qualify. They just need to qualify some other way.
Absolutely. Women do qualify as social equity applicants if they were convicted of offense of cannabis prior to May of this year. Or excuse me, May of last year. If they are a military veteran, if they're a resident of the area that was impacted by the war on drugs, if they're an emerging farmer, meaning someone that is like the main operator of a farm business that makes at least $5,000 a year, but not more than $100,000, so like a an emerging farmer of sorts. If you live in a community where most people receive food for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or like food stamps, you know, there's lots of different ways for people to qualify. It's just being not just a woman, but being a woman outside of these conditions doesn't automatically qualify you.
You don't get any leg up
Exactly.
for being a woman, though. There's no other qualifications that open themselves up to just women.
Not as of right now.
Right.
We could see like through the Can Train, the Can Renew, like some of the grant money that goes out, there might be initiatives later on that really help to support women.
There isn't a specific targeted person by the way, by the nuanced way that they were born,
For sure.
who does benefit in here.
Absolutely. It's all if you were impacted by the war on drugs, you served as a veteran, you're an emerging farmer, or you live in an area that was most impacted by the war on drugs.
It sucks that in a lot of places that are legal, that a lot of the people, I think at one point in Chicago, every license was owned by a white guy. Or there wasn't a person of color that had owned a license.
Absolutely.
While how many people in Illinois are sitting in jail? You know, people of color for petty
100%.
and that's incredibly frustrating. You know, they even people like that, you know, don't explicitly benefit from this bill. I think that, you know, vindictively maybe they should just have a provision that, can it just not be that one group of dudes, white dudes? Like, can we just somehow...
Oh, yeah.
Can they get, like, -5 or something? You know what I mean? And I don't want to sound self-loathing, but, like, it's a reality.
100%. Well, and I think what we've seen is so many states have this goal of this is what we want to achieve, and then they just don't. For one reason or another, they don't meet that mark.
It sounded
We're trying to figure out how to...
I was hearing people were saying, oh, the state will get sued. Oh, the bill will run into trouble. Look what's happened in other states, stuff like that. One thing that is interesting is veterans. My strategist was saying that in Illinois, the same thing happened where, you know, when they first came out with licenses, something like, because that was in the bill, all the top applicants, you know, got put into a pool, and then it really was only the ones with veterans on their team that got picked at every single license that was handed out in Illinois in the first place was handed to a veteran or a team with a veteran on the team, which thank you so much to people like Matt, who...
for sure. Shout out Matt Robidoux.
Yes, who have served our country. And I love the representation in this market, of course, or Mike at Natrium.
For sure. Stefan Egan, who we're going to show a little bit later in this episode. Yeah, another one, for sure.
So, you know, but I think those guys themselves would agree with me that more people than just veterans should have a chance at doing this. You know, while they were fighting a war somewhere else, you know, a lot of us were fighting a war against our own government.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to detract anything from the war that they were actually fighting, for sure. But dude, guns were involved in our war too.
Well, and I think like sort of like how we talked about earlier, it's not about let's make this group fight against this group and this group. It's how can we make this pie as big as possible of a lot of people were harmed by this. How can we get you into this? But I agree with you. I hope we see they're trying for a diverse market. I hope that we see that come to fruition.
I hope that they continue to work with us to ensure that lottery tickets are handed to that they're just sprinkled around the pie.
100%. Another one, and this is just sort of something that we love throwing out. We now have a better idea of what that application might actually look like. So they're not going to be scoring things. They're just going to be reviewing to make sure that your application includes a security and record keeping plan, an employee training plan, a business plan and financial situation description, labor and employment practices, knowledge and experience, so like a description of who works for a team, what experience they have, an environmental plan, and that is it.
And they're not scored. It's like a check. Yes, he's
It's
got
do you
this.
contain that? Yes. you're
And you
good
know
to move
what?
on.
I think this helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Because my sections 3:1 through 6, or rather line 79.24 to 79.29,
Mm-hmm.
aren't as bolstered as Holstein's or Johnson Brothers or a lot of
For
these
sure.
big competitors of mine. And so that sounds like it helps me, dude.
And that's one of the things that they tried to talk about is like when we come into the cannabis market, it's not like we can just say this kind of person is most prepared to be successful in the market, because we both know people that come from the legacy side that are very successful in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people that come from like medicine or like other industries that also are successful in
And
cannabis.
you know what? Unfortunately for me, those people can really benefit the consumer as well in
For
the
sure.
ways that they do.
And I think we're going to see hopefully a diverse market where you check the boxes. You're just as likely to get a license as someone who maybe has hundreds of thousands of dollars invested into their application and like, it's can you set up a business?
Mm-hmm.
Then you should be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. True party of interest did make its way in. Essentially what this means, in just like a very summarized version, is it's not just going to be who are the directors on the board, but really who's actually controlling the business from like the financial perspective. So
Right.
we're not going to see, hopefully, a bunch of like umbrella businesses that have a bunch of subsidiaries underneath them. This should limit it so that we're seeing really those license caps applied to individual people, saying you can only have so many licenses, actually have meaning and weight. More to
You
come.
think that it'll work?
More to come.
Sure.
I do think it's a step in the right direction. I think we're going to do a lottery system. We're going to be able to throw people's names into the pot and just sort of see what comes out. I think having things like this are the guardrails that help to protect that.
It's almost like
Yeah.
saying this is something we wish would happen.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you.
Which, you know
it is-
what, dude? I don't have a better answer.
Yeah.
I don't think. You know who might? Kayla Fearing. Shout out to her and all of the work that she did with this bill.
Yeah.
That is so dope. Congratulations. So cool.
Yeah. And
but I don't.
her stuff made it into the bill. Like
Right,
we can,
so
we're
sick.
going to see that go to the House and Senate in the next couple of days here. Finally get that final passage, because it has to happen by, if you're listening to this on Monday, by technically today. So
Pat's gotta be
by
proud
today,
of
we're going to
her.
see this passed.
Yeah, I
so
know I would be.
we're recording this Friday. Honestly, this might happen over the weekend. The conference committee report has now been signed. That's why it was posted online, available to all of us. So who knows? Maybe later Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, one of those days, we're going to see this. But yeah, shout out Kayla.
I was talking to somebody who is close with state rep. Just just a friend of theirs,
For sure.
and they were like, yeah, dude, they haven't seen a kid, like, you know what I mean, like they're there till 1 a.m, like these guys are exhausted. Like, I don't know why it works like this, but I
For
got
sure.
a glimpse last year
Yeah.
when I really had time to go to the Capitol and see
Absolutely.
how convoluted this whole process is.
So that was a year ago today. The bill passed May 20th, May 19th. I'm going to get the date wrong, and people are going to at me, but it's one of those two dates.
I remember it being like the last day in April or May that we were all at the Capitol cheering for something.
Yeah. So because it passed the House twice and the Senate twice. They passed the Senate for the final time at like 1:30 in the morning on
Wow.
like a Saturday morning, because I remember going to the Capitol at like 6 p.m. on Friday. I had pizza with Josh from Legacy and Veronica from Misota Essence.
If I need to know what
Um,
happens in these sessions, I call Josh.
Yeah.
Shout out Veronica though. What up, dude?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and just thinking back to a year ago when we were like, will it pass, won't it pass? And now we're like, should we allow droppers as a serving size instead of a demarcation? And like, we're getting so much into the how should we legalize? And I'm here for it. I love it. I love that we're not talking about should we arrest people or should we not, but it's how should we best get products to consumers?
Which seems silly at the same time as us saying only 57,000 little misdemeanors.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the next one that we're talking about, and shout out Dr. Dabs, Dr. Clement Dabney. He makes a bunch of seasoning spices that used to be in a bulk bag with a scoop, and then unfortunately the Department of Health said, hey, it needs to be marked or scored
You got
on
that
the
back?
product. Yeah, so now
Bro,
if
he
you
invested in a whole machine.
so now if you buy them, they're in the little bags, right?
Right.
Well, yeah. So now it's written in as long as you have some sort of calibrated dropper, measuring spoon, or a
Right.
similar device, and it's meant to be combined with other things prior to consumption. You're
I
good to
wonder
go.
if he had anything to do with that. Dude,
I'm
he was-
calling
he was
it
there
the
at
Dr.
half of
Dabs
that.
provision, even if he had nothing to do with it, because that really affects like that product and a couple others, yes, but mostly I'm excited to get my Dr. Dabs seasoning bags with a scoop.
That just makes more sense for what you're doing
So
with
much
it.
more sense and so much better for the environment. Like we want to cut out all this unnecessary plastic. Let's
For
do
sure.
that.
Oh my god, when we first started shopping for this shit, dude, it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, legally.
Yeah.
So
100%.
much plastic and bags and this, and you can't open this thing until you get out of here, or there's just so many layers.
For sure. I remember buying like a disposable vape pen, and it comes inside of a plastic container, and then that has to be inside of like a child-proof thing. And then you go to the store, and they're putting everything inside of a bag that then they're then going to seal and staple with the receipt. And you're like, wow, my one vape pen is inside of 4 bags right now. And
What'd you do with that pen when you were done with it?
almost certainly I threw it right out the car. No, of course not. No,
Oh,
no.
God, right into a little bird's nest, dude.
No, it is, you know,
Right
like
onto a turtle.
we as an industry need to evolve, and that's why like I'm so excited to walk into a store and buy like a baller jar of some rosin and
For
like
sure.
not have to worry about
I'm excited
how
for
much
a
plastic
store
went into
or a
it.
manufacturer to figure out pen technology for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want the batteries are miserable, bro. I'm talking to Vapo too. Honest to God, bro, it's really a lot of people. It's standard in disposable rosin vapes.
Absolutely.
The reason we're doing disposable vapes is because I need to dial the temperature in for my customer so they don't fuck the terps up that we worked really
Fair.
hard to put in there, because if they do that after 4 hits, they're going to come back to me and say, why did this half gram cost me $45 and taste like shit already? That's why I got to give you disposables right now. That's what we're up against. So I need a
Okay.
manufacturer who can dial in my customer and make sure that they don't burn my terps or that they're not able to with the hardware that we give them that isn't permanently attached to a battery. Because when I talk to the people at Vapo 2 for research and development purposes,
Absolutely.
I say, hey, dude, what do I do with this after I'm done? And they say, well, we can't tell you because it's not even legal to manufacture the things that you probably put it in there up in your state right now. And I say, I'm not, and if I am, it's for research and development. Nothing is for sale.
Well, we encourage people to buy those O2 pens when they're making concentrates at home and wanting to like fill their own pens. Because
Oh, yeah, that's
like
why I
some
buy
of the
them.
best ones.
So, yeah, dude was like, we just tell our people to incinerate them. They're going to the incinerator. What?
Yeah.
That's a lithium battery, bro. I worked with big lithium batteries in my previous line of work, and we didn't tell people to do that when they were done with them. We told people to recycle them, dog, because they're pretty much fully recyclable.
Yeah, we as an industry need to strive. to do
Somebody figure that out. Somebody figure out recycling disposable pens and also making it so that I can have a rechargeable battery that can put chronic rosin pods on, because 710, as badly as I want to distribute you in this state, your rosin pod technology, the last time I hit it, which mind you was like 2 years ago, kind of sucked.
Yeah. Oh, so let's talk about that, because I similarly, I went and visited my friend in Colorado. He was working during the day, and it's like, all right, this is the dispensary I got to drive to get those 710 pods.
pods,
I'm
right.
stoked about it.
Right, and they
Drove
had some
there.
flavors that you were pumped about.
Absolutely. Popped it in, took the first hit. I was like, all right, that's okay. Like maybe it's sort of warming up a little bit. Took another one.
Where it was like,
And then it just like never really got good. Whereas
I've
same
had
trip,
a
bought a
couple-
LaserCat pen, blew my mind.
there are, I think 710 is a little bigger than LaserCat, and they're both my favorite hash company. It's just the most consistent hash I've ever been able to find. You know what I mean? I haven't found a black market producer that's kept up that quality for 6 years running, dude. I bought my first jar of 710 2019, 18, 19 probably, so.
And seeing them expand to other states, yeah.
Every other state, so I'd love to have them here, but my experience with the pen is maybe I've had some good ones. It's like you get a third of the way through and it starts to taste burnt, and that's when I'm pissed. Maybe I fucked it up, but you let me do it. Give me technology that I can't fuck up.
Well, especially when it's something
you can
so proprietary.
definitely bleep all of that. Was a lot of. I feel very strongly about these little pens, dude.
No, I think this is good stuff to talk about, because especially when people are considering, like, what do I want to buy to put my own concentrates in? Like, I spent so long growing the plant and making the oils and doing this, to put it inside of a cart when it's like, all right, yep, that's burnt.
Yeah, vape O2s are great, but dude, there's a handful of really solid vape technology on the market. You got questions, hit me up.
There we go. All right, well, so let's keep moving through. Another thing that we got coming up here, we talked in the past about, like, what does medical cannabis look like here in Minnesota? We're not going to have dedicated medical cannabis dispensaries selling only medical cannabis. We're not going to have cultivators growing only medical cannabis. But we are going to see, is this endorsement allowed? So if you want to cultivate cannabis, process cannabis, or sell cannabis that's intended for medical patients, you just got to get an endorsement. You can grow other cannabis. You can process other cannabis. You can sell other cannabis. It's just, you need this sign off from the office saying, yep, you've got someone who knows what medical cannabis is. You're good to sell that.
And the office is the one that's determining.
Yep, exactly. And that's still yet to be determined, but at least we're going to see. I mean, I think today we've got 16 shops that are allowed to sell medical cannabis in Minnesota. This is going to blow open the doors.
We got to get the Wallachs some lab coats, dude.
Ooh, there we go. All right. Yeah. I dig it.
I don't know how to get endorsed, but it doesn't sound like a bad way to,
If you want to sponsor a podcast, let us know. All right, another one. We talked about what sort of children protections, if you will, are being built into the bill. This is one. No products are going to be able to use images of toys, robots, fruits, or vegetables unless it accurately describes the ingredients or flavors in the product.
Okay, we got to run that back.
All right, yeah. So if you want to put like a toy, like so we've got rosin jar, right? Let's say you want a little robot on the side of it.
Okay, that's so funny.
Not allowed.
Toys or robots, just robots.
Just robots.
I could put a genie on there. I could put
unicorn.
a dragon on there. I could put a unicorn on there.
For sure.
Not a robot?
Not a robot.
That's so funny to me.
Not a robot. So if you have like product that maybe
what
it's like...
strains are affected by the robot ban?
I'm struggling to think of one off the top of my head.
Kush.
There we go.
Right,
yeah,
dude,
for sure. Yeah, that's
so funny to me. Robot.
Is there like
like the whole like suckers and ice cream thing?
And so this is just like version 2 of what are the other things they're concerned about? Fruit and vegetables. Have you ever gotten Granny's gummies before?
Yeah, for sure. Dude.
So they have a not only an apple on the front, but also a character. Thank you. Thankfully, it's just a character that's properly advertised for children. A previous version said any characers.
Right.
Now it's just if it's
good.
previous. Yeah, Granny's is good because the fruit accurately describes the flavor inside. But if they're selling things that doesn't taste like apple or doesn't have apple in it, but it has an apple on front, that wouldn't be allowed. So maybe it's like a apple fritter.
You know who that protects? Is me, who was just talking about that jar of rosin tastes like the fig-looking thing on the outside that it looks like. Because if I buy something wanting apple, it has apple on it, and I get it doesn't taste like apple, I'm going to be pissed off. So that protects me.
And it wouldn't be allowed. You're not allowed to have characters that are proper or phrases that are properly used to advertise towards children. So Barney the dinosaur dabs, unfortunately, not going to be allowed here in Minnesota.
You couldn't do like they're great,
You can say they're great. You just can't say they're. You can't do that one. Yeah. So they can be great. They could be magically yummy, but they can't be delicious. Yeah, things like that. And they can't use any brand names or close imitations of brand names that sell candies, cereals, sweets, chips, or other foods that typically marketed toward children.
Obviously, dude. This is like copyright law, basically.
We're not going to see any Chips Ahoy edibles unless Chips Ahoy actually makes them. And
Jones
even that
Soda did.
Yeah, that's shout out Jones
I
Soda.
was thinking about that before they did it, so I'm pissed that they beat me to that.
And I've heard they're pretty good.
Really? I think Hemp House sells them.
Yeah. Let's see. So we got a license pre-approval process written into the bill. So if you're a social equity applicant, you don't necessarily have to wait for that full first round of licensure. You can get what's called a pre-approval. So this is going to be almost certainly another lottery system.
Jeez, look at 134.19.
Yeah. So we're going to see
geez,
20
buddy.
cannabis wholesalers just in that first round of pre-approvals.
Oh boy.
Yeah, our market is coming online. So
Here we go.
We're going to see those applications no later than July 24th of this year.
Oh god.
That
dude,
application
that's
is going to
3
close
months.
no earlier than August 12th of this year. However, the thing
No,
is,
two. That's 2.5.
yeah, that's like soon here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
2 months from Memorial Day.
yeah, 100%. So we're going to see that really rolling out shortly here.
Holy shit. And we were saying, dude, everybody was saying for so long, like, this is taking forever. And now we're like,
Yeah,
dude,
here
I'm
it
not
comes.
ready.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, let's go.
Yeah, so technically these people won't be able to begin their specific business itself. They'll be able to start acquiring properties, getting city licensure, really doing everything
Right.
that's needed. But in essence, these are the people that are going to be part of that first round of opening
And
business.
I wonder when they're going to start, approving applications.
So it has to happen within like 30 days of that window closing. So we're going to see applications approved
At the end
by
of
the
August.
fall. Yeah.
And that means that come the fall of this year, we're going to be able to walk into dispensaries.
So unfortunately not. Starting fall of this year, we're going to start seeing dispensaries probably being built, storefronts being put up in place, but they won't be able to open until the second round of licenses goes out. However, what is going to be allowed is they're allowing...
So the head start is really just development.
Exactly. It's you can go and find investors and know that you have a license secured, and you can go to people and say, I want to start a business and I have a license and you should fund me for it.
Holy shit, dude, that makes me feel like they're like letting the social equity applicants run for like a couple blocks and then look behind and then boom, there's the starting gun.
Yep.
It's like you better keep running, buddy.
Exactly.
Run fast.
And they're even going to allow, this was one thing that was sort of put in at the last moment by the Senate, or at least in the final hours, long talked about, but is early cultivation. So 100 micro businesses, 25 meso businesses, and 13 cultivators are going to be able to start growing product this fall here in Minnesota. Now, stores likely won't open this fall. We'll probably see that beginning part of next year.
13
But we'll at least have,
cultivators, bro.
yeah, 13 cultivators that can grow thousands of square feet of cannabis. We're going to
Doesn't
have...
matter.
No, I agree with you. We're going to have...
Nobody will be able to buy weed.
I agree with you.
13
But along with that, we're also
cultivators.
going to see 25 meso
Bro,
businesses.
10 of these initial 3 of these initial grows are going to go south.
100%.
3 of them are going to be mids. You know what I mean? Like that leaves 7 cultivators to supply the state of Minnesota for how long?
So there are other people that can supply Minnesota, and it's the tribes. Starting perhaps under compacts, we're going to see places like Red Lake, White Earth, Metawakan, like all of these places that had started
You know what's
growing
gonna
cannabis. What do you think is going to happen?
There's going to be tons of black market weed sold legally.
I would agree with
There's
that.
going to be a ton of that. It happens, I think, in a lot of places. It happens especially during what I believe is early stages of licensure.
For sure. Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting watching this all roll out, but at least we have our final version. It's going to be going to the House and Senate, as we mentioned
People
earlier.
will at least be able to buy illegal weed legally.
There we go. Exactly. I'll at least be able to buy my illegal
It's a
cannabis
good
from the
first step,
store.
dude. It's
right?
a good first step. Listen, people are going to smoke that weed anyways, and most of it's probably pretty good weed. You know what I mean? These people have been growing this weed for a lot longer than a handful of those 13 cultivators will have been growing weed for, and so it's probably good weed, and I'm smoking it.
Yeah. Me too. All right, well, we're going to take a short break here. We're going to go chew the product off the shelf, give it a quick sample, and then we're going to cut to an interview with Jordan Fallis. So we'll be right back.
Let's go. All right. So I picked this product out.
Yeah.
Oh, should we do it like the we're back thing?
Oh, sure. And we're back. Yeah, super excited to try this one out. We walked over there. We sort of looked at the various products that they had on the shelf here at the Dabbler Depot Seed and Sush, 951 Payne Avenue, St. Paul, all that jazz. And yeah, this one looked really good. Do you want to talk about which one we grabbed here?
Okay, so it's not a manufacturer like I said. Okay,
Yeah,
let
totally.
me just say all of my manufacturers.
Oh, yeah,
before
yeah,
saying
we'll
this.
move
Okay,
on.
Modest, Earl Giles, 56 Brewing, Broken Clock, Stoked is Superior Cannabis.
Yeah.
What up, Tom Cotter and Brandon. All my edibles, No Coast, Dweed and Imran and Cody and Natel cranking them out down the street.
For sure.
Nadia Canasoto, this is my little brother. We got Baja Ontario and Fizzy and Puff Pows out of Osceola. We got a bunch of really dope shit, and I didn't pick any of those guys. We picked the Jones Soda
I dig it, though.
that we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely.
I'm so curious.
Mm-hmm.
I drank a lot of berry lemonade Jones Soda back in the day. They got the pictures that are all sent in by like fun people. Like I said, I had this idea a year ago when drinks started to come out. I wanted to call it Jonesin.
All right.
Instead of Mary Jones.
For sure, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that would have been so funny. And I
like
wondered, would you get sued for this? And also didn't have the means to produce a drink
Mm-hmm.
at the time. They beat me to it, to their own product.
Well, here we are. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting can. The thing that we were talking about right before we turned the camera is that it doesn't say THC. It says HD9,
yeah.
hemp derived Delta 9
They're
THC.
going to start throwing all kinds of crazy stuff on acronyms and stuff. Can we just call it a weed soda? It sounds so much more fun.
Well, and the other thing, the thing that you mentioned that we were talking about, 9.99 milligrams of THC is what it says on here.
Almost no chance that there's 9.99. There might be 9. There might be 9.5. There might be 9.8. There might be 9.9, but there's really not 9.99 to the dot, almost certainly.
I would be curious to see the COA on this and to see if it's exactly.
Would you
9.99.
like to see the COA? This is a fun thing to do.
Well, you
with
can scan it.
sampling.
It might not go directly to it,
How
unfortunately.
many? Here's my question: Is there's a lot of people doing reviews like this in the state.
Yeah.
How many of them are hitting the COA when they're doing the review?
Not that I've seen.
Why Mary Jones? Precision potency with 5 and 10 milligram options. Our precision crafted beverages deliver the perfect high, igniting your senses. This is so crazy. I'll bet you somebody is licensing this out. That's my guess. Is that somebody is paying Jones for the licensing abilities to create this. I wonder who's making it. I doubt that it's Jones.
It is manufactured by Surly.
Son of a gun. They did it right under my nose. Right up 280. Can't believe it. Good for them. Oh my.
Mary Jones.
All right. I'm not seeing this. I cannot find.
So a fun thing is, from a legal perspective, the COA actually doesn't have to be available to the public.
That's really interesting to me. I thought test results had to be available to the consumer.
They have to be available to the inspector, and you have to have all the required information on the can, which we haven't yet gone through and checked. Do they have all the statements? Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it
not
doesn't
seeing
look terrible, but
any place where I can find testing. I wonder if you can find. Look, it says hemp infused on the website where it says HD9 THC.
Wow.
So they've changed that. I wonder. I'll bet you can find other Surly products test results. Let's drink this shit.
let's bust it open. So I am excited to open this because I was very curious. Green apple, are we going to get a green apple color to it?
Yeah.
Jones Soda makes me think yes, and yep, they did not prove wrong.
Oh, dude, I remember drinking green apple, but like I said, I drank more berry lemonade as a kid. A third of me has to be made out of sugar. L'chaim, bud.
Cheers. L'chaim.
Immediately.
Wow.
It's exactly what I remember.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. And that's so much fun to drink. And it's more fun to call it weed soda.
We can just call it that. We'll just.
To call it a
This is the Jones
dash
wheat soda.
THC soda.
We're Jonesing.
We are
Wow.
Jonesing. Yeah, and that is great.
That is really,
It's
really
not
good.
as good as any of the products that any of my manufacturers sell, but it might be on par if I pick it up.
Well, I mean, it's something that we should point out because I've learned so much about
that detracts all of my credibility.
No. Here's why it doesn't. Because something that I think sets those products apart from this is that those products don't contain 84% of your daily sugar in them.
No.
One can
That's
of this,
insane.
84% of your daily sugar.
Okay, so 42 grams of sugar, which is probably more than a Mountain Dew this size.
Yeah. Like I
It
just
is
think
so
that's
goddamn
insane.
tasty. It was,
Yeah, it is really good.
bro. I hate to say this. Please go buy my products, but it was so much fun to drink this little cup.
Yeah.
It really was.
I will say this is
Everything about it.
very
the
good.
color, the flavor.
Mhm.
Damn it.
It's good. No, I agree with you. I think like the nuance that I keep struggling with is like, it's a good product. Is it one that I think I'd go to every day? Maybe not.
Oh my god, no! You wouldn't be looking like.
Yeah,
this
that's
anymore,
fair.
buddy.
Totally. But yeah, no. For I think one to pull out, maybe to split with a friend or to like this is. It's really good.
A fun thing on a Saturday night after you've smoked
Yeah.
a bunch of weed already.
There we go. I dig
for
it.
sure. Yeah. Nice job, Jones Soda. That's what
Yeah.
I assumed that it would taste like. And you know what is great? I don't really want. I have never found. I think that Earl Giles does a good job, especially with their sour tangy, of blending other flavors to create
Yeah.
profiles alongside terpenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never found a standalone edible terp that I thought was pleasant.
Interesting.
And
Okay,
so,
for sure.
have you?
Not that I mean, so like we included some terpenes in the raspberry beverage that we did with Modest.
Right, but
it
you
was
also had
a
raspberry in
tiny
there. Exactly. You had a
amount,
lot
yeah.
of really nice like fruit juices or whatever was going on.
But yeah, I agree with you. I've not tasted a
Dude,
product
Modest
that's
collabs
terpene
kick
forward.
ass. My
That's,
Modest Apricot is selling
Yeah.
quickly right now. I have like 7 cases left, but a lot of those, the Calamansi we saw over there, these, limited runs that they're doing are selling quick.
so I mean, can we talk about the now that we've sort of tried the product? It's really good. Like, let's go try Jones
That was
Soda.
just a shameless attempt at forcing a plug there.
No, because I do actually, I really sort of want to dig into that for just a minute, if you will. So if people are maybe looking at potentially carrying cannabis products at their store, or they already do and like they don't like the variety that they have, they're looking for some more. I mean, what is it that really a distributor brings to retailers like this?
I think that's a great question, and I really think it depends on what type of distributor, right? My biggest competition.
We're plugging you. This is
I got you.
Tell me a little
I
bit about
appreciate
like
that.
I want to open a retail front and paint, or not here, but
my biggest competition is big liquor distributors right now, and these are guys that sell, some sell to dispensaries or whoever, and some just sell to liquor stores. Those aren't as big of my competition as the ones that are also selling to dispensaries. These companies are owned by people who don't smoke weed, who
Okay, for
haven't
sure.
used the product, who don't have experience in the market. They have experience with distribution. They have experience with transportation, with employing people and running
sure.
taxes for employees.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So they have a lot of advantages that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. I do think that they probably are hiring out positions to people who have experience in this field, or in adjacent fields. But I don't think that the people that are making the big decisions at the helm of these companies, product decisions or things like that, are people that are really familiar with the product. And I think that impacts the offerings that company will have for stores like mine. And so as an owner, as a decision maker at my distribution company who does use the product, I'm able to source, and I think this is what you were saying, like, oh, if I picked it up, it'd be a great product. I'm able to source products that I think are really quality products from people who I think are great people from our community, who have been doing this, who know what they're doing, who know about the product, who know about the market, who know what they want. I was just talking about Modest. You know, my little brother, for instance,
Absolutely.
Lady a Can of Soda, makes a product that I think fills a perfect gap in the market. It's a gummy, which is really accessible to most people. You know, it's vegan, so most dietary restrictions are still able to consume what is.
Yeah, for sure.
He'll go, hey, what is the smallest amount of sugar that I can put into a gummy while still making it taste good, while still having somebody be able to eat this and enjoy the experience of eating it, while the end goal is not to like snack on a bag of Skittles,
Yeah.
but it's to get high, because I'm gonna want to eat Skittles when I'm high, and I can't be eating 41 grams of sugar every day.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I think that I know, hey, as a consumer, as somebody that's been doing this a long time, I have a high tolerance, and I'm gonna need to get a lot of gummies in me. I'm gonna be looking for a product like Nady's.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And I'm able to bring that to my retail partners, and there isn't a single individual who uses every part of this plant. Like you were joking earlier, the topicals, right? People do use topicals. I do not. I use a lot of this plant. I eat it. I smoke it. I drink it. I would snort it if I could. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't really use the topicals.
For sure.
But people do, and so that being said, you know, not every shopkeep is going to be able to speak to every one of their consumers' exact needs.
Bingo.
Distributors supplement for that.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Especially distributors who know what they're doing.
I think that's such a great point where it's like distributors don't just make sure that the stores have products to put on their shelves, but it's about like choosing and deciding and figuring out what are the products that are really going to be consumers' needs. As a shop owner, you have your perspective and you're able to see so much from your position. But I imagine as a distributor moving throughout the market, seeing different trends, you're able to just pick up so much more on this is a product that is moving across Minnesota, or this is a product
I
that
see it
just
with products that aren't mine. We talked about Mini Groans Hibernate earlier, and that's a product that I use personally. I didn't know about minor cannabinoids until our buddy Steven Eigenman was like, hey, dude, Minnesota's starting to wake up to this, that, and this. I was like, okay. You know, and obviously CBD.
Yeah.
Nate has ran the CBD company since 2018. But I didn't really use it myself until CBN because I use weed for sleep.
For sure.
And that's a product that I use nightly now.
Yeah.
Which is insane to say about a minor cannabinoid. I would have thought, what hippies, you know? But that knocks me out at night, and sleep is really important to me. So for a product like Mini Groans that I see on all of the shelves that I'm on, like, yeah, I recognize that, hey, these are good products. This is a great product, regardless of the fact that I sell it or not. You know, shout out Smazy. You know what I mean? Those guys did a great job early on in the market.
Oh, those 50 milligram cans, I remember.
Oh, dude, awesome. Yeah, that's what I need.
I dig it, man. So if we'll do that, the shameless plug here. If people are thinking, hey, I want his help in getting products to my store, how can people contact you, reach out to you, get connected?
Hit me up at sam@milstagrams.com, MILSTAGRAMS. You can go on our website, milstagrams.com. If you open up an account, just like sign up, you just got to put your information in. You can view all of our products, all of our prices. You'll be able to view a lot of our products without doing that. You know, it's a work in progress. It's like me and a couple people that get to work on this when we have time in between the hundreds of thousands of other things I need to do as a business owner. No,
I dig it. I think that's awesome. Like, I think people need to connect. We're in the time of the industry where as we see licenses are going to be coming out quicker than I think some people maybe expected.
July 24th, that's so cool. I mean, talking to my strategist, and this is one of the things, you know, one of the hundreds of thousands of things that we have to do is like me making these decisions, and like, you know, somebody I pay hourly and like a couple of salespeople or whatever it is, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I got to be talking to my strategist. Like, when do I find time to do that? And then how do I find time to like understand the things that she's saying to me, or like the legal things that
Oh,
are
yeah.
rolling out? Like that's a job in and of itself, is just to deal with my lawyer. You know what I mean?
100%.
So, you know, what were we even talking about? So when she's coming out with, hey, this is what's happening in legislation right now, this is what's coming down the line, like, it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming quick. Buckle up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to head to an interview with Jordan Fallis of Native Care. And then a little bit later, we're going to be previewing a class with Lagi Blum. So stick around and we'll be back shortly.
All right, and we're back. The Northern Lights Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenman, here today with a very special guest, Jordan Fallis. Jordan, how you doing?
Good. Thanks, Steve, for having me coming on today, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome to Minnesota, man. How long you been in town?
Since last August, so what's that, about 8 months now? Somewhere roughly around there?
Sure. And if people can't tell who you're with or what you're repping, tell us a little bit about how you got into the Minnesota cannabis industry.
Yeah, so I'm here with Native Care. So I've been following Minnesota's demographic for a while now, and seeing that, you know, cannabis is going to go live in a few months from back when I was in Michigan. So that's where I come from, and I got people connected to Red Lake, and I just showed up one day and said, "Hey, I'm here," and we had some good conversations. I'm bringing some good ideas, and we're gonna, you know, move forward and progress and see what we can do collectively. And you know, there's a lot of great opportunities for the state, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of people that listen to this podcast, they're familiar with Minnesota. They know Minnesota brands. They know a little bit about growing, and they're often, you know, cultivators themselves at a home grow level. Take me through a little bit of your background from Michigan and how you got introduced to cannabis.
Yeah, so if we want to start from as a child, man, I've been around it my whole life. And as an adult, I realized that this industry was going to take off in a legal aspect. So I knew at a young age that this was something I wanted to get into, because I didn't want to be in an industry where you have like these dinosaurs, these mature markets. Because I knew with the passion and my drive that I wanted to excel, and I wanted to get into something that like resonated with my soul and my heart. With me being around it my whole life, so in 2008, Michigan went medical. So I knew from that point, like, hey, this is going to come down the line one of these points. So I made an effort into getting in the industry. I started out as a medical grower, grew in the basement, you know, so I got my stripes that way. I came out to Minnesota in 2017. I was a little early, you know, because following the hemp program, and I helped the tribe get set up with that. And Michigan went live with recreational in 2017, so I said, hey, I had to go back home. Jumped in and lived in the city area and just started doing basement grows again. And then, you know, I got connected to some good people. And 2020, I got into vertical integration, and I really got to see how to really be successful at a high level, and how to really scale up. And so
Sure.
did that for 3 years, and, you know, got to get into mass production and really see how to fine tune something and be successful at it. Came to Minnesota, and we're here today.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you're here.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
So Minnesota is taking a unique approach to cannabis legalization, especially on the adult use side, with respect to sovereign nations and Native American tribes. Can you tell us a little bit about how Michigan approached adult use cannabis from a tribal perspective versus how Minnesota has approached it, and where there maybe weren't opportunities for you to go the tribal route in Michigan, but where there are now in Minnesota? Like, give us a little bit of background on the Michigan market as it pertains to a Native American tribal member like yourself.
Yeah, it was difficult to see because Michigan just was about the money. They just said, hey, whoever's got deep pockets can come in and just get into the game, and you needed like $1 million in liquid assets to jump in, and not a lot of people have that accessibility to cash. So it was one of those moments in time where you're like, man, I have the ability to do these things, but I don't have the resources to jump in. And tribes are in unique positions because we have sovereignty, and you have these relationships with the state, and the state didn't involve tribes at all in Michigan. Some later down the line, took a risk, but 10 years gone by and the market starts to get saturated, and it's not the same. So it's nice to see that Minnesota as a state took the approach to give recognition to tribes and letting tribal nations jump in. And I think it's in the best interest to let the state slow roll things out and watch how the tribes progress, and slowly insert things, because there's a lot going on and this industry is huge. And I think of 1.5 billion is what estimation, maybe it's even more than that now, but so there's so much opportunity for everyone. It's like, let's see how the tribes roll out first, and let's follow that trend. And Red Lake has really taken a step forward to lead this thing without any fear, and they really want to progress. And it's nice to see how Red Lake is doing this, because everything that we're doing is going to support the community as a whole. So it's not for an individual, it's not for a few select. Everything that we're doing is to create that prosperity and longevity to advance the band.
So one of the unique things about the Red Lake Nation Native Care, how would you refer to that? So the Red Lake Nation tribe and the Native Care brand, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Or business, the cannabis business of Native Care, it's a nonprofit, right? That's
Correct.
One of the things people maybe don't inherently realize about Native Care is that it's set up as a nonprofit. And so the funds that come in through Native Care go back to the community of Red Lake. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, fair to say. So it goes back to the programs, and it's really focusing on creating that long-term impact for the youth. There's obviously other programs as well, but from my perspective, that's what I'm here to do, is help lead this charge and give Red Lake a position to be able to create that longevity. Because not a lot of people get this opportunity. So I know what's at stake, and I'm holding this close to my heart, because I really want to see this thing excel, and I want to execute at a high level, so that way the people of Red Lake can have something to really put their stamp on.
Absolutely. For me as a longtime native Minnesotan, I think this is kind of the first moment or industry where people are saying, go up to the reservation, go there, go support them. There's actually like a tangible product that you can buy that you can't really get anywhere else on the reservation or on this sovereign land. How has the reception been for these visitors from across Minnesota coming to the sovereign nation or the tribal land? How have the customers been received by the tribe?
It's been awesome. It's very welcoming with open arms, and Red Lake is a beautiful place. There's not many places out there that's like this. You have Upper and Lower Red Lake, and that place is phenomenal. The energy that comes from that lake can't even describe it. It's a beautiful place, and everyone's welcome to come check it out and check out the dispensary we got. And we're really making a lot of progress. There's a lot of people that are behind the scenes, that don't really get spoken of, and who's on the day to day. And part of this too is I want to shed some light on those individuals who don't necessarily get seen.
Right.
Because that's really who it's about, is the people doing the day-to-day stuff, man, because they're kicking butt. And without, the workforce up there, man, they're so dedicated and they're passionate about it. And, like, it's contagious,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's Minnesota's fastest growing industry. It's clearly, probably Red Lake's fastest growing business model. But the question that I have on top of that is, like, what are the products available now? We're coming just off 420. I saw that there was an edible product for sale on 420. It was some sort of bread, as well as I saw like some hash products and some concentrates. So it's starting to look like the catalog is rolling out more and more. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we're getting there. We still have some logistics, to deal with, but primarily it's flour.
Okay.
We will have some edibles coming down the line. Same with extracts. For 420, it was more of a a celebration. So we did some fry breads and some infused syrups.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. So there was a lot of big turnout there. It was a good time for a lot of folks to really check us out and see what's going on at Red Lake. And I'm excited for the future here because Red Lake has gone all in, and they want to see this thing really prosper. So I'm very humbled to be part of that, and it's a team effort. So
Right.
it's awesome to see the progress that has been made since I've showed up, and I'm excited to see what the next few years look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're excited to see more tribal dispensaries open up across the state of Minnesota. We love the partnership that we have with Red Lake, and we want to encourage people to go there, but we also know 4 hours, 5 hours, it's a long way to drive for some flower. How would you share more with the audience around the interdynamics of the tribes around Minnesota? Like, how are all of the tribes benefiting from this pact that the state has with the sovereign nations? So what can you share from a network standpoint on how not all the tribes, but how some of the tribes are starting to adopt cannabis or are starting to consider starting cannabis businesses?
Well, it's an economic driver. So it's creating jobs. That's the most important thing. So I don't know if all the tribes are getting involved, but the ones that are they see the opportunity here for the economic development that it's going to create. There's so many jobs that can come from this. And it's also giving tribes the ability to really make progress forward while pushing the envelope, using that sovereignty piece, because we get complacent, and it's like, well, we don't know if we can do these things. And that's kind of what happened back home in Michigan is we got complacent and we didn't know what we could necessarily do. But being sovereign, you have the ability to lead.
Yes.
And being here in Minnesota, seeing the tribes really lead, like that gets me excited, and that knows that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the correct thing, because that's what I've been manifesting is to get involved from that perspective, to lead the field. And really, I dedicated myself to get into the cannabis space for tribal nations. I didn't know exactly who it was going to be, but I didn't care because I knew at some point in life it was going to happen. And Red Lake has, they see the truth in me, and I'm excited to give everything I have to make sure that we get to that finish line.
Yeah. So from an opportunity standpoint, and then this is something I've spoken to Peter about a little bit, is this is a unique market where we have a duopoly. We have Green Goods and we have Rise as the two medical operators, and they're well backed, but it's limited, and the reputation there from consumers is not where they would like it to be, right? And so we're starting to see more opportunities for adult use dispensaries or adult use recreational markets to open, but it's through the tribes. And so you must be thinking short-term and long-term as you play through this, because on the short term, there isn't a lot of competition, but on the long term, you want to be the best. So how do you balance kind of your short-term goals with your long-term goals, knowing that the opportunity is so large?
Honestly, I don't have any short-term goals because it stacks itself. So I'm thinking big picture, long-term sustainability, So I want to make sure everything we do, we execute, because it all starts to add up. So if we cut corners, like that's only going to have an impact in the short term, So I want longevity. That's the whole point of this, is the long-term effect that this will have.
Sure. Yeah, it's sometimes hard to even realize that cannabis is going to be legal forever.
Yeah.
Like Minnesota made the change. It's now legal. We just celebrated our first legal 420. That's the norm now. It's not always going to be on Saturdays with a 4-can beverage in your hand.
Right.
But that viewpoint of like, oh, this is special, it's only going to become more normalized. I think there's so many opportunities for Red Lake and so many opportunities for everyone involved in the Minnesota cannabis industry. What would be some advice that you would give people just getting into adult use cannabis for the first time? Like, taking your experience from Michigan, what are some of the keys to success that you like to share with people?
Make your mind up. So once you decide that this is something you want to do, don't give up. Just stay on that path regardless of what comes ahead of you or in front of you, those obstacles. Just make sure that you go all in, and this becomes your only option, So don't give yourself any other options. If this is something you want to do it, because this industry it's not new. It has been around for some time, but it's just new depending on what state you're in. So understanding that like you got to take risk and you have to get out of your comfort zone, you know. And for example, like I'm here in Minnesota now. I could be back in Michigan, you know, enjoying life, but I wanted to take risk. And this was a high risk for me, you know, because I was in a really good situation, and I didn't know really what I was going to get myself into. So coming here, and I was, you know, welcome with opening arms. So this feels like home, and you know, I'm excited to be here, and I want to really make a big impact, and not for me, you know. So coming on this podcast, originally, you know, it wasn't something I wanted to do because it's not about me as an individual, but I'm speaking on the collective of what's going on at Red Lake, because like there's a lot of things that people don't see that happens, you know, like from traumas, and a lot of that gets pushed aside. So to see Red Lake, you know, say this is what we're going to do, and we're going to push the envelope, it gets me excited because I know that means the future is now, and we're going to execute this thing because this is the only option we have.
Yes, I like that. And for those who haven't been but are considering going, how would you describe the culture of the dispensary at Red Lake? What can people expect? What's the vibe when you go up to the Red Lake Nation Native Care Dispensary?
Yeah, it's nice. You know, there's some murals on the wall, so you kind of get to see a little bit of what the culture and the inside's like. And, you know, the staff is phenomenal. You know, they're very well educated. Nokomis, she's the manager. She holds it down. You know, she makes sure that everyone who shows up is getting taken care of, you know, world-class style. So appreciate Nokomis. You know, she does a heck of a job, you know, with, like I said, there's so many individuals at Native Care that do such a phenomenal job that, like, that's who the spotlight needs to go on, you know. So I'm excited for, as we continue to develop this relationship, to introduce you to the people that are really making this thing, you know, move, who's really driving the business forward, and who have dedicated. And then, you know, it's exciting time really to see that Red Lake has positioned itself to create this long-term impact, you know, and the longevity that's going to come from this due to the workforce that we're developing, that like the short-term gains, it doesn't really matter, you know. So like I said, this is what, a $1.5 billion industry in the state of Minnesota. So like people have to understand, like you said, it's legal now.
Yeah.
So like, let's roll this out slowly. Let's develop this infrastructure properly. And
Right.
Minnesota is sitting in a position right now to really do this thing correct. You know, and I do appreciate that, because if you look at all the other states, you know, when you flood these markets, the price is volatile, and it's like, how can small businesses really, you know, create that sustainability? So give the tribes these little windows to really set up and like roll this out slowly, and then the rest of the state will see like there's longevity here for everyone, you know. So like, let's not really battle.
Yeah.
Let's work together, and like let's see, you know, what the future can bring for everyone. And it's not just about one individual or a certain business or company,
Right.
you know, because there's so much here for everyone to really partake in. So only take what you need. And that was something that part of being a Anishinaabe, you know, only take what you need, you know. So I don't need a whole lot. I have almost everything I need in life. So I'm here to give. I'm a servant leader, and, you know, I thrive off that. And that's part of the reason why I'm here in Minnesota, is like, I just want to give everything that I have and I've learned. And it gets costly, you know, if you have to learn stuff. So I'm trying to give everything that I've learned to you know, minimize some of those risks.
Sure. Yeah, I think the jobs portion of this industry is still very much yet to come, but I know economically that this is going to be such an opportunity for so many folks. You know, so many kids in college right now, or kids in high school right now, now they have the opportunity to get into the cannabis industry legally. They don't have to go, you know, grab weight and chop it up into bags and say,
Right.
I'm in the industry. Like, there's going to be much better opportunities than what you were allowed or what you were allowed back in the day. So I'm excited about that. If people want to get more involved, are there opportunities right now to work at Red Lake, or will there be more opportunities in the future? If people want to get involved, where should they look to Native Care?
Well, first off, you know, we're expanding. So not today, but down the line, yeah, there's going to be so many openings. And anyone who is interested, you know, just call a dispo and start there. You know, ask for Nokomis. Nokomis will direct you into where you need to go. You know, so like there's so many moving parts here, because we're vertically integrated. So we have the grow, we have the retail, and we're looking to expand. So anyone who's interested in an opportunity, go ahead. Like, just start with calling the dispo, ask for Nokomis, and Nokomis will help lead you to where you need to go. You know, we're always looking for talented people who want to get involved, and this thing is long term. This isn't a short term play. So any of those young people out there, high school students, early college kids, like if you want to make an impact in life, like cannabis might be the route, because it's new to the state, so it's open for anyone to get involved. So
Absolutely.
do you want to work in the car industry? It's pretty mature, so
Right.
coming from Michigan, I was like, nah, I don't want to work in the car industry, because you got some dinosaurs who's been sitting there for some time, so as a young adult, it's like, hey, take some risk. You're not going to sit there and see, your fruits come to fruition off rip, but like take some time and dedicate your craft and find your niche, and through time, you'll blink and 10 years will go by and say, wow, I made a good career decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope the best for the Minnesota cannabis industry. I hope it's sustainable for decades upon decades, and that we don't have these high, crashes. And truthfully, Minnesota's already been through that with the CBD, the rise of CBD, the fall of CBD, the 2019, 2020. And we've covered this on the podcast quite a bit, but did you have any perspective into like the Delta 8 side of the industry? Were you paying attention at all during that 2020, 2021? Like when people started to figure out they could manipulate CBD, was that on your radar at all as a adult use operator in Michigan?
Not really. It was more on the Fed side though for me, because like the path I've taken is like I want to see the hardest path forward for myself. So it's like, how can I get involved? Because the state side of stuff, once you get connected to the state, it's a lot easier. But from the federal side, it's difficult. So the Delta 8s, the Delta 9s, it's like, using that farm bill. So that was my piece, like in 2017, like we knew that 2018 farm bill was coming. It's like, so how do we capitalize on that? How do you use that, as our way into it from even, let's say, Minnesota's standpoint? Because like you said, you had those two companies that were operating from the medical side, but once that 2018 farm bill came out, I was like, okay, now we have some groundwork that's laid out that we can really get activated. I haven't spent a whole lot of time outside of that, but
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, and it brings up something else that I have to ask about. We are on the Minnesota Cannabis College podcast, Northern Lights. A lot of people don't know you. Maybe they don't know a lot about you, but you have your hand as well in a college that you're building in Michigan. Can you share any insights into how you're building a school and what that is like, and how it kind of compares in some ways to the Minnesota Cannabis College?
Yeah, so we got a school that I represent, the Saginaw Chippewa Tribal College. We look at natural plant medicines, so we do have an outdoor farm, and it's just focusing on those medicines, so that is how I look at life. So you have cannabis that is a natural plant medicine.
Right, absolutely, yeah, and we'll see down the line if there's more plant medicine that's able to be allowed for in states, but I definitely see a path for mushrooms and cannabis, and it's what people want. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want to have natural plant options for themselves and their families. And one of the things that we're fighting for at the Capitol is more plants for caregivers to be able to have. And that's somebody who's been on the podcast, Kayla Fearing. She's fighting for that, and I think she's making good progress. And I think people should be able to have a caregiver be able to grow those plants for them. And that was a huge part of how the Michigan market grew so quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's a good approach too, is that really helps, the people who want to get involved in growing perfect their craft.
Sure.
And craft cannabis is always going to be there. Commercial cannabis and craft cannabis is two separate things.
Right.
Those small batches, you can put a little more love and care into that, and it shows.
Yeah. So we're here with Jordan Fallis from the Native Care. Jordan, last question for you. What is your favorite strain of cannabis?
Purple Punch, man. I love Purple Punch.
And if people want to find out more about Red Lake, where can they go to learn more?
Go to nativecare.com, and the phone number is on there. When you call, ask for Nokomis. Nokomis will take care of you, man. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on this podcast, man. It's very humiliating, and it's exciting for what's coming down the line. And Minnesota, just take your time, man. Take your time. There's enough here for everyone, regardless of your financial situation. Just know that. Slow roll this thing out, and really take the time to really understand that, like you said, it's legal now. So if things change tomorrow, is anyone really gonna see the impact? No. So just take your time and let's really do this the correct way, because you can't go backwards. You can only go forward. So
right. Absolutely. Thanks for the wise words. We look forward to introducing you to more people across Minnesota, and we look forward to seeing more products coming out of Native Care and Red Lake Nation.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on.
Coming into 2024, our focus is to put on as many of these as possible, connect you with some amazing people that know what they're doing, such as our speakers tonight. That transitions me very nicely to me getting off stage and passing on to our presenters for tonight. So Kat Franklin and Stefan Egan are going to be talking you through our wonderful stuff tonight. They are incredible people. If you haven't heard their backstory, shameless plug, go listen to our podcast. We did an interview with them, but really, they have a ton of experience here in the Minnesota industry, but also nationally, looking on that branding side, and I'm excited for them to share their expertise here today. So I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to pass the microphones off. So thank you so much, guys, for being here, and yeah, thank you all.
How's everyone doing tonight? Perfect. Thanks for coming out. Give it up to Cannabis College and Canna Connect for putting all this shit together. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I am Stefan Egan. This is Kat Franklin. And together,
Well, hello.
High End Genetics, Logie Blom, and Sugar
And
Cannabis.
sugar. Catch it. I'll just throw gummies. Everybody gets a gummy.
So I think before we get into the growing and cultivating of things, just give a quick background on who I am and who Kat is and how we got together and continued on into this industry as it came to Minnesota.
Awesome. Can you guys hear Stefan?
Okay.
Hello.
How about
hello.
now? Okay, so I'll go like this.
Just for the live stream,
Oh,
Thank you.
See, I've got the loud voice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get confused for a woman all the time, so.
I'm the loud mouth. He's the quiet, smart one.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So Kat and I have known each other since roughly 2016-ish. I've been I retired out of the military in 2015. Prior to that, I worked in special operations as a counterintelligence agent. Before I joined the military, my family cultivated cannabis in Florida. I grew up around it. I grew up growing it, joined the military, and decided I couldn't touch it anymore because the government would take my job from me. So once I got out, I wasn't the same person at all. I think anyone that knows a veteran can attest to that transitional period once you get out. Luckily, I had the plant, and she helped me get grounded and find my way back to being a functional human being. And that's when I met Kat, ironically.
Really? Well, I'm Kat. I'm the loudmouth. Like Stefan said, we met about 2016. In fact, I didn't remember exactly when and where. I knew how we met, but it was the coffee shop when we actually saw each other face to face. Like back in the day, you don't ever see each other's faces. You have a handle. You've got certain names like your IC mag handle and all that. But actually seeing his face, I remember there was a place in Mankato where I reside, and he pulled up at this place called the Coffee Hag, and he had plants in the back of his car. Remember that?
I take them everywhere I go. They're like my pets. Yeah. They pull up like, look at this shit, like.
So yeah, how we got together and how we kind of met, it was actually the plant got us together. I have been very fortunate to be on a long ride and journey with a plant by the formerly known as Gorilla Glue 4. So I am the grandmother, godmother of Gigi. My business partners and best friends were Josie Wales and Lone Waddy. Rest in peace. Sadly, both of them passed away, one 3 years ago, the other one 2. Left me kind of solo. During that transition, when we knew one was sicker than the other, is when I pulled Stefan in a little bit more and said, okay, I'm in Minnesota, you guys are in Nevada, he's in Minnesota. We need to keep this legacy going. How do we do that? And what does that look like? So we were very fortunate. Stefan came down to Vegas, introduced him to Josie Wales. After he left, Josie called me and said, you're right. He's the perfect match for you. So here we are.
Keeping in mind, I go to Josie's house, and if you're a pothead and a grower like me, this man opened up his seed vault to me. And like, if you're a grower and you collect seeds like I do, for this guy to open up a vault and say, I've got this from 75, this from 83, this one came from Russia, this one's from Thailand. I'm like, oh my God, like this is amazing. And he said, take what you want and, let's work together. And I was like, absolutely, let's do this. So it worked out really, really well.
So after they passed away, I went to Michigan, left my husband right here, left him in Minnesota to take care of our kids, while I ran operations to learn the legal side of cannabis, and actually ran vertically integrated from dispensaries to processing to huge grows, anywhere from cocoa to hydro, and learned the actual compliance and regulatory and how to have employees that you actually pay taxes with, and learn that for many years to gain that experience as well as income for our family. And then waited for Minnesota to kind of come around. I remember flying back to Michigan, and Minnesota legalized the low dose. And I was like, thank God I can quit this now. So I was able to launch Suga. And Suga is my gummy line. I wanted something that would be ours or mine and not play off of the legacy that myself and Josie have. I also wanted Suga to win in Minnesota and not win because of who I was. And it's doing a pretty darn good job, and people like to get zooted off of it. So I guess I'm doing a good job. But yeah, so now Minnesota's finally getting its ass together, and Stefan and I are here to teach you his ways, which are the proper ways, and then my bro science, as he calls it. And we'll kind of go from there. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Kat. So my way is not the right way. Let me flat out say that from the jump. The right way is the way that you do it, period. Whatever works for you, rock on, continue that process, continue that method. Don't make any adjustments because a Facebook forum told you to do so. If you're getting plants to pop, you're getting them to grow, run with it because it works for you. That's the most important thing as we kind of move through this. So. Real basic. Obviously, we all know that there's a bunch of different types of cannabis seeds, right? You have the regular seeds, which are characterized regular because they're male and female, right? Sometimes you'll get monoecious plants. There's a big word for you, Kat. That just means that a single plant is creating both sex organs, right? So it's similar to a herm, but different in the sense that it's not being caused by environmental factors. It's within the genome. It's part of the genetic code, so it's going to have those problems no matter what you do.
What was the big word I missed it?
Monoecious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between Stefan and me, I am going to say it hermaphrodited, and he is going to use a word that I cannot pronounce, nor don't ever ask me to spell.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then you have feminized seeds. Feminized seeds are exactly that. They're feminized, they're female. There is no male within that product. However, depending on the production process, you will find that 99.9% of them are feminized, and you're going to find that one off that just didn't take, and it's going to produce male sex organs.
And with the feminized too, is a lot of people, I've been running a seed bank for over a decade. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, I bought, feminized seeds from you and they hermed or they're male. At the end of the day, what you have to do is, and he'll get into that, is you reverse a female into a male, big word, and then you make female seeds. So you're not guaranteed. You're actually, you're doing something natural. The plant, we'll get into that later, but the natural the plant's going to do anyways. But not always will that seed be feminized. There is no scientific way for us to say, okay, poof, you are now a female seed. It's breeding two female seeds or two female plants together. And the only way to do that is by making one female plant a male.
We'll get in a little more of that difference between, S1
Watch
and
the full
R1,
class
how
today.
to
Visit our
choose
website,
the right
mncannabiscollege.org, to stream the full class online anytime.
Autoflowers, they come in both reg.
That's all we got. All right, y'all. Well, that's all for the episode this week. Thanks so much to y'all for listening. Sam, thanks so much for joining us today.
Dude, it is so much fun to come on here. I hope that you shave off about 70% of the just fluff.
People will never know that we've been recording for like 6 hours here. This has just
Right.
been session and
Oh,
chilling,
my
and
God.
it's been
Right.
no, it's been a good time. But no, thank you truly so much for coming on and
Really a
sharing your
pleasure.
perspective and just chatting more with me.
Cannot wait to get back, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we'll be back in your feeds in a week. Check us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Reddit, all that jazz. Subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see y'all very shortly. Thanks, guys.
Northern Lights is a Minnesota Cannabis College production. This episode was produced by me, Tanner Barris, and by my co-hosts John Barty and Marcus Harkis. Production assistance from Shayna Payton and Steve Eigenman. Today's episode is presented by North Star Law Group, your trusted partner in Minnesota's burgeoning legal cannabis industry. The information provided in this podcast does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice, but is instead for general information purposes only. Information shared may not constitute the most up-to-date or legal information. No listener should act solely on the basis of information provided without first seeking their own legal counsel. The opinions and views expressed on this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of the Minnesota Cannabis College. Please listen responsibly.